Live on the Facebook.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Tuesday. So you have a business and you want to take it to the next level. How do you do that?
How?
Let's find out.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Well, James, drop us an intro.
Should we just take it away? Boy, oh boy, here we go. If you want to grow your company, you are definitely going to want to tune in today. Before landing with his current company, our guest today managed growth at early stage startups at one company that IPO'd, that's Roku, two companies that were acquired, one by Equifax, the other by Apple, and now he's looking to help the world's largest avatar-based social network take off like a SpaceX rocket. Not only has our guest helped multiple companies grow exponentially, he is also a best-selling author of Lean AI, a book that teaches startups how to scale faster with a lean team and judicious use of artificial intelligence. So tune in today as we learn from the master how to run tens of thousands of simultaneous marketing experiments. Man, I'm all glitchy today. Across all of your digital channels. Give a big Business Bros Pod welcome to a man who has led multiple teams in driving user acquisition, retention, and monetization, and helped several companies achieve huge success. Head of the growth team at IMVU. Welcome to the show, Lomit Patel.
Hey guys.
How you doing, Mr. Patel? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great, man. I love that intro. We should do that again.
All right, hang on. Boy, oh boy, if you... I'm just kidding. We'll hear it again on the replay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lomit, thank you for coming on the program. We really enjoy you taking the time out of your daily schedule, and I'm excited to hear about your story. So how about you just give me a starting point? We'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So my story is that I have worked at a number of different startups, primarily for the past 20 years. What's attracted me to startups has really been, the opportunity to kind of work on a business or a product that I believe in, but also having the opportunity to come in early enough where I can sort of, try a lot of things to really help the company figure out, what's the best way that they can grow in the area of acquiring new customers and figuring out the right business model to try and make money. And so, for me, it's been fascinating. I've done it, as you mentioned, at a couple of different startups. And the great thing is, it's like one of those things when you do it once and it goes well, you want to always get back on the bicycle and do it again, right? So it's kind of like a drug.
Tell me something about, help me define startup. There's so many different areas at what you would call a startup and what you would define as somebody who comes in and helps it grow. How do you define a startup, and which, what does a startup look like where we can get somebody like you to come in and help take it to the next level?
That's a really good question. And so, my definition of a startup is really a tech company primarily, because it's a company that generally gets invested by venture capitalists, and generally venture capitalists invest into a company which has high degree of risk, but also a high degree of reward too, if things work out, which is why, most startups have a failure rate of 95%, because for the most part, most startups don't end up succeeding, but the ones that end up becoming successful end up making enough money to try and recoup back a lot of the losses that most venture capitalists make. So all these companies that people have heard of, like Netflix, Airbnb, Facebook, Uber, Lyft, all of these companies at one stage started up as being a startup, and ultimately, going from that journey of trying to raise some money and really figure out, what's the product that they wanted to bring into the marketplace, and then what are the right customers to help them to become successful, and just going through all these different pivotal moments that ultimately a lot of people end up sort of seeing these companies being super successful, but all of them had the same humble beginnings of being a company that really had a high degree of risk and very little opportunity of really figuring out how to be successful. And it was just going through a number of different pivots along the way to get there.
A lot of potential for aggressive expansion.
That's exactly it, right? Aggressive expansion. When a company is ready to go to that next level to reap the rewards of the risk that they're about to take, what kind of things are you looking for in that kind of business? As far as like systems, are you looking for a particular revenue base? Are you looking for a management strategy in place? What do you guys look for to come in and say this is a risk that we're willing to take?
Yeah, so generally, even though the idea is important, but most of the times, what venture capitalists invest in is actually the team that's going to sort of take the idea and figure out how to execute it to make it sort of live up to the potential that the founder has for that particular business. So for me, I generally join companies really early, so generally right around the stage of when a VC is making the initial investment into them. And my role coming in, the first part of my role is really to sort of take the concept of the idea that a company has come up with and try to figure out if there's even a product market fit. And what that means in a simplistic way is that is there even a customer who's willing to pay any money for this product that companies or the service the company is developing? And so you want to try to try to get the product to where you can actually put it out in front of real potential customers and sort of see if they even are going to find it valuable to solve a specific problem that they're willing to pay for. And once you sort of get product market fit, then it's a matter of, how can you take something, as you said, and grow it as quickly as possible before somebody else ends up coming along and copies that idea, so to speak. So that's when you're off to the races.
Well, let's parallel the hypothetical with one that you went through that everybody knows the name of. It's sitting on every freaking smart TV. I have one plugged into my living room TV. Let's parallel that whole venture with Roku itself. Tell me about what it was like when you first came into the company, and maybe like some changes or modifications or strategies that you guys put in place to help take it to the level that it's at today.
Yeah, so with Roku, I joined them, and I think I was probably employee number like 28, or it was less than 30 people, but I was actually the first marketing person that they had hired, and my role coming in was really exciting because at the time they already had the product, which is the Roku streaming player. And my role was to really figure out how we're going to take this product and figure out a way to sort of create a direct to consumer channel, which is, can we sell this product directly to the end user without going through like retail, which is how most product or consumer electronics were being sold at the time back in 2008. And so, the benefit of selling things directly, which is how a lot of companies do it now, but it wasn't the way they did it back then, is that, you had to really sort of figure out, what are the right channels that you can sort of start advertising and spending money on, who are the right types of customers that you want to try to attract. And it kind of goes back to just running a lot of different experiments across all these different channels, trying to figure out what's the right website experience that you want to bring people into. Because the big challenge with anything new is part of it's education. It's trying to educate people on a whole new concept of streaming entertainment, which most people weren't doing at the time. So part of the challenge was trying to educate users. But the other part of the challenge was to try and find content that people would find useful to try and, buy the product. And so, believe it or not, our first partner, which was our greatest partner, and still, even to today, a lot of people have heard of, is called Netflix. So Netflix was the first partner that Roku had. And it was kind of a perfect partnership because Netflix was actually launching their streaming service at the time, and Roku was, the best streaming player available at the time for people to stream Netflix. So, a lot of the things that we did early on was just really working with Netflix to really figure out how could we, work with Netflix to try and create awareness for Roku to their users. And I don't know if you guys even remember Netflix, but Netflix started off as a DVD mailer company, and most people probably don't remember, but Roku was actually buying those ads, or I was placing those ads in those DVD mailers back in the day when nobody else was placing ads in those mailers. And that was a really good way for us to create awareness and drive a lot of users from Netflix to come over to Roku and buy the product. The other thing that we did was, through Netflix on their website, we were able to get some specific placements where, Netflix was able to promote Roku. So that was another way we were able to create awareness. Outside of Netflix, we ended up taking that same sort of playbook model of working with different partners. And so imagine who our second partner was, Amazon, which again is huge now, Amazon Prime Video, but at the time they were just starting out too. So, we went from working with partners like Netflix and Amazon to like NBA and a whole bunch. We got over now I think Roku has probably over 5,000 partners. When I was there, we had over at least 2,000 different partners. So a big part of growth was around strategic partnerships of finding these different partners and then doing co-marketing campaigns with them where, we could kind of, work with them to try and create awareness and drive their users to try and buy the product. That was one way. The other way was just doing a lot of digital marketing through partners like Google and Facebook and social media, where we're able to go and buy a lot of ads and find the right users to continue to drive a lot of new users. And so, the big challenge in any company is really trying to get to certain milestones. It's like, trying to get to 100,000 paying users, then trying to get to 500,000 paying users, then trying to get to 1 million. And the same thing goes with hitting your first million in revenue, your 10 million, 50 million, 100 million. And we ended up hitting all of those different milestones primarily just by, expanding the number of different partners that we were working with, and just getting better and smarter around, all of the different digital marketing that we did. And one other thing that we did that really helped us at Roku is that the product was really phenomenal, and it still is today. And that's really important because if you have a really great product, then you can leverage tapping into your current customers to really become your biggest evangelist. So we ended up, doing a lot around word of mouth marketing to really encourage our existing customers to not only buy more than one device, but also to help us spread the word and become our biggest evangelists. So a big part of, I would say at the time when I was there, over 40% of our new customers really just were coming from just existing customers that were telling other people about it. So, that was a huge driver for us as well.
How did you guys break down your ideal customer? Because, in my eyes, when I think of Roku, I think, well, who doesn't have a Roku, right? Or who doesn't, everybody who in my mind has a television should be have a Roku in their hand or in their possession. They should have bought one or built in, whatever it is. When you're first starting out and you're trying to figure out who your ideal customer is, where you're going to spend your marketing dollars, because now it's easier to say, we paid ads here, we paid ads there. But when you're first starting out, you have a limited budget that you're looking to work with. And so there's only so much money. You want to make sure that you spend your money the best possible way to acquire the customer that you're looking for. How do you narrow down our customers, everyone with a TV, to, specifically where you want to spend your dollars?
That is a really good question. And so the way we approached that back at Roku was that we started targeting users that were customers of or fans of the content that we were bringing onto the platform. So, as an example, Netflix. Obviously, a lot of people that had Netflix had the streaming service for free. So it would, what they really needed was a way to try and stream that onto their big television, right, onto the big TV. So instead of us trying to target users everybody that had TVs, it didn't make a lot of sense for us early on. What made sense for us was to target the people that were specifically members of different streaming services where that content was available on Roku. So we started targeting not only a lot of Netflix customers through working directly with Netflix, but also, for example, on Google search. We used to do a lot of content and keyword buys around people searching for Netflix, and that was another way we were trying to attract Netflix customers to come and try out Roku. The same thing happened when we started working with Amazon and 2,000 or so other partners. We started focusing more on people that really liked that content and had access to streaming it, and trying to sort of provide educate them about how they could stream that content. Because before, most people were streaming it to their laptop, and there's a huge difference experience from streaming something on your laptop to streaming it on the big screen. And that was kind of the story that we were trying to tell people of a better way to stream their content. And then the other thing that we really focused on at Roku was it was three tenets, basically. It was value, simplicity, and content. So with value, we wanted to make sure that we had the lowest price product in the marketplace, because by keeping the price low, and we were like one of the first that ever had a streaming product for under $99, it opened up a whole new market of people that would potentially be able to buy the product, because the barrier was a lot lower to try and buy it. So the price was really important. Simplicity, if anybody who's used Roku knows that it's really easy to use that product, because we wanted to make sure that it wasn't too technical. So anyone that brought the product would be able to use it pretty quickly right out of the box, and it wouldn't require a lot of technical support to get started. And then content, ultimately, the reason why people buy Roku, it isn't because, they want to look at a box. It's because of what the box enables them to do, which is get access to all of this great content that they can stream onto the big TV.
And it is definitely a great product with simple use features. But let me ask you about the color scheme. Or are you going to cut me off, James?
I'm going to cut you off. Before we jump into the color scheme. Yeah. Because we gotta have our insurance tip of the day, right?
Gotta pay the bills.
So here we go. Ham's insurance tip of the day is scheduled personal property, also known as a personal article floater. So, ladies, I know that your husbands spent a ton of money on your wedding ring, right? They didn't spend anything less than, 3 months of their annual salary, something like that. Yeah, whatever that might be. Sure. So here's the thing that you may or may not know, but I'm going to teach you today. Your homeowner's insurance policy has what's called a special limit of liability for jewelry of $1,500. That's it. That's the most that they're going to pay out unless you have endorsed a scheduled personal property or personal article floater. If you do this, you're going to have to get your ring appraised, and they're going to give you a value, and that's how much you can insure it for. But it can be $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, whatever the case might be. If you don't have this scheduled personal property or personal article floater, and you lose your ring, it gets damaged, it gets lost, it gets stolen, anything like that, how much are they going to pay you?
$1,500.
That's it. $1,500. So get yourself a scheduled personal property or personal article floater. Talk to your insurance agent. Make sure that your jewelry and other items, not just jewelry, but stuff like cameras, firearms, collectibles, etc., and so on. Make sure that that stuff is added on your policy and properly protected. That's your Ham's insurance tip of the day. Follow me on Twitter at InsuranceBroHam.
Back to it. Speaking of what's stuff that you can insure, I mean, those TVs can get pretty expensive too. And
they sure can.
They sure can. So make sure you schedule out all the stuff that has large values. I was going to ask you before the break there about the color scheme. I noticed, like, when I go to look at different players, different media players, and I remember looking at the Roku, it was the only one also, not only because of the price point, but the color stood out. It was purple. Everything else was your traditional sleek black. Try to get as thin as possible. It was all kinds of different stuff. Even Amazon's Fire Stick was still black. Yours stood out. Was that by design, something that you guys thought of ahead of time?
Yes, definitely. There's a couple of things that you always want to think about, right? And the color for us, right from the start, we ended up going with purple, because we wanted to have something, as you mentioned, something that would stand out and be more memorable based on all of the other sort of color schemes most people were using. We didn't want to sort of kind of be the same. And the other thing we were thinking about, even from an early stage, even before, we ended up going into retail and became huge in retail, was, what is the packaging going to look like? What's the right color scheme? Like, when we do finally go into retail, where if somebody walks past, and they're kind of looking for all these different like streaming products, where this thing will catch their eye. And it's great to sort of hear your story, because that we were sort of planning for, that whole, capturing somebody's attention right from the start. So it was definitely by design.
Let's dig a little bit into the once you realize that you had a product, right? So you've partnered up with a couple people. Now, Netflix early on, it's in the DVD route. It's still kind of competing with Blockbuster. For those of you who are not old enough to remember Blockbuster, it was where you used to go to rent our movies prior to streaming. So it was competing with Blockbuster. Blockbuster was trying to come out with its own, DVD program. And then it starts competing with Redbox, which is another DVD platform that you can go and rent. They're just, out on their own. And yet you knew streaming was going to be that next platform that was coming. How does somebody come to a venture capitalist? How do you take a concept, an idea like that hasn't been proven, right? There is no exact market yet. You have to actually educate your client or your customer base to say, look, this is the way we're going. This is the new age. How do you take that concept and idea, pitch it, and then once you realize that it's catching flame and it's going, how do you not hold back, or what do you hold back on? Do you like pour gas on this thing and let it go? How do you maintain control of this brush fire that you start?
Yeah, so like anything, you first need to create a few sparks, right, to start a fire, and so sparks being, there's a lot of great ideas out there that people have of products, but ultimately, the true predictor of if somebody really values that product and if it solves a real problem is if somebody's willing to actually pay any money for it. So when we initially started at Roku, we had just one product, which was the original streaming player at $99, and we had some good early traction and success with that product. And then the next thing we started thinking about was, that there's people at different price points. And so one of the ways that we wanted to grow fast was to try and come up with a good, better, best strategy around the product. So good, better, best being like 3 different price points, because generally what we found was if you give somebody a choice, and you have a lower price product. So at the time, we had a product for like $79, and we had one for like $89 and one for $99. this is actually true today as well. The product in the middle isn't something that most people are going to pick, but the product in the middle at 89 is going to force people to either go with a $99 price product, or it's going to force people to go with a lower price product, which is a 79 at the time. And so the idea there was, every year we continued to come up with new products, started to come up with different price points, because we were trying to expand the reach of the types of customers that we could sort of bring into our ecosystem. Because ultimately, what Roku ended up doing is that we built this huge community of users. Because once you buy a Roku player, a lot of people like to entertain, and so when you start inviting people over and they start seeing you using Roku, the word of mouth starts to spread. So what we wanted to do was to try and make it easy for our existing customers to buy more devices, and to try and encourage other people to buy it as well. And to answer your point, with any product, if you've got a good, strong word of mouth going, that's something that venture capitalists really like. It's called virality, right? Because they know that if you got strong word of mouth, you got strong product reviews, then that's clearly an indicator that the marketplace really values the product, and people are willing to talk about it positively. The other thing that I didn't really touch on too much earlier is that we also had a lot of great PR coverage on the product, and we were able to get, it was by design that we were able to continue to reach out to different publications, different bloggers, and tech sites, where they continued to write about Roku and the cutting edge product that it was. And so that provided us a lot of free publicity, which again sort of helped fuel a lot of growth and validated the product idea to get more investors to put money into the business.
What was it like riding the wave of Netflix and Amazons and the Hulus of the world? Once it caught wind, once people understood that streaming is the way to go, I don't have to wait for a DVD anymore. I can get on demand, whatever I want, whenever I want type of TV access. No need for commercials anymore. I can cut out all those people. Now I just want what's on my Roku, what's on my stream, right? That had to open up the door for you guys for not only, the sales of the individual products, but the ability to have, licensing and commercial and product placement and all kinds of different stuff that Roku is now in a position to take advantage of. What was it like riding that wave?
It was amazing. It's like, there's a saying here in Silicon Valley with startups, like there's certain startups that are like rocket ships, and if you're lucky enough to get an opportunity to get a ticket to get on board on one of those, then you should definitely take it and hold on, for as long as you can. And so, and it was the same thing at Roku, because clearly, us, and there's another word, it's called hockey stick, and we literally were riding a huge hockey stick in terms of the number of new paying customers we were getting, the revenue we were getting, and as part of growth, it isn't just growing the product and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of new people. We had to do a lot of hiring, so we started hiring hundreds of people. So it's like every week you see new faces coming in, and you got lots of new partners. Before we were like trying to get partners to come into Roku, and then it sort of turned where people wanted to be on the platform, and it was really for us to sort of figure out how to negotiate those terms that were more favorable for us. So, but I would say it's an amazing experience, but the other thing that I would add to that is, not only when a company's growing, but you as a person, if you're part of that company, you have to continue to work on developing yourself too, so that whatever you came in whatever job you're doing when you started at the company is going to continue to shift and change as a company grows. And so you want to continue to build your skill set and continue to provide value to the company so that you can continue to be relevant for where the company is at different phases of its growth as well. And so that's one thing that people don't probably talk about a lot, which is, as companies grow, people's responsibilities and change as well. And, and for some people, change may not be great, but the people that generally do well in startups are the ones that have the mindset of being flexible and adaptable to be able to continue to provide value at different stages of the growth of the business.
What kind of doors have opened up for you now that you've been at Roku? You got to experience that hockey stick type company launch as part of the company. And now the company's, it's a household name. It's not, something that's far-fetched. The world knows that this is something that we use on a daily basis. You've developed new skills. You've met new people. It's opened tremendous doors. What would you say are the best doors that you've been able to walk through with having that experience?
So I would say, that there's definitely a lot of doors that open up, once you sort of part of a company that's been really successful. The best part about it is, it's like, now for the most part, since I left Roku, I was able to go and work at a number of other interesting companies, but a lot of those doors wouldn't have opened up if I, wasn't successful at what I did at Roku. But at the same time, it also gave me the opportunity to, to have other companies kind of come to me and provide opportunities that has helped me to continue to kind of grow and build myself and my career as well. And an example of that, and this is just a quick example, just to kind of let you know how things kind of work. So at Roku, the initial venture capitalist investor that we had, when I joined, obviously, I kept in touch with him, and the company I'm working at right now, the door really opened here because he wanted me to come and join this company IMVU, where I'm working at right now, which is another company that Menlo Ventures is invested into, and they wanted me to come here and do sort of the same sort of growth success that we had back at Roku. So doors definitely open up from that.
Well, yeah, you had some magic in what you did with Roku, and they wanted you to sprinkle some of that magic in these new companies you're working in. I can totally understand why that venture capitalist would say, this team that was successful, I want to bring them onto my new project. That just totally makes sense.
Right. It's kind of just like sports franchises, right? It's about getting the right mix of players to come in, right? And then if they've proven themselves at one franchise, then ideally you want to try to recruit them or recruit the spine of that team into a different franchise.
Well, you already know they can execute, right?
That's right.
You know they can execute.
Yeah. What I would say in execution, one thing is that, the reality is, what works at one company, having done this at 3 or 4 companies that have become successful, it isn't necessarily the same playbook, that's going to work at a different company, but what it really takes is the ability to, what you said, execute. Part of execution is really able to adapt to a different environment, a different product, and if you approaching a problem and trying to figure out a different way to make the jigsaw kind of fit into place.
Exactly. You modify and adapt, but the fundamentals that you have in place are those things that allow you to execute.
Yes, for sure.
Lomit, I want to say thank you very much for being on the program today. What a story to be able to ride that Roku ride. And I thank you for.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Exactly. So thank you very much for taking the time to be on the program. Ladies and gents, just a reminder, Lomit here has a blog and a book that I want you guys to check out. Look, artificial intelligence is already here. It's already being implemented. Some of you don't even know it. You're chatting on DMs, you're hearing voicemails, you're having people call you, and you don't realize that that's not even a real person. And if you can take advantage of the AI that can benefit your business and help you systematize things, then you're going to fall way behind, because the cost of employing people is way too expensive. So you might as well take advantage of some of the AI. So check out Lomit's personal blog at lomitpatel.com, and you can get his book Lean AI on Amazon. All right, ladies and gents.
Wait,
Lomit,
before you sign off there, one more promo for yourself, if you will.
Yes, of course. Ladies and gents, in the month of June, I'm giving away a free book as well. It's The Power of Podcasting. So if you have a podcast that you want to get started on, grab the ebook, get started today. Everything from podcast development to promotion, launch visibility, and monetization, all for you. Get your free copy of the ebook, businessbros.biz/free pop. It's only available for free in June, so get it sooner rather than later. Lomit, thank you very much for being on the program. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And,
Thanks for having me.
Of course, ladies and gents, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation, or join the business www.businessbros.biz.